Okay, Evelyn, while we're waiting for our special guest to arrive, let's talk about all things support related. So what recent questions, comments, issues have been coming up that you guys have been working in support?
We actually have just been getting questions on. So I guess there was a glitch yesterday in the system that when people were logging in, they were getting an OTP message for the merchant panel. And that was the only real questions we were getting yesterday. So it is now actually live and it's been fixed. So they shouldn't be getting those issues anymore.
Perfect. And also regarding restaurant sign up in general, I know we've been getting a lot of questions recently. Are there any tips or tricks that you want to share in that area?
So it looks like we have about another minute.
Sorry, other YouTube random. So we actually just have been, a lot of the current drivers that we have in the cities have been asking, is it our job to kind of just get the dollar paid for and getting everyone's credit card? So it is going to be, when you sign up a merchant, it is absolutely advisable that you guys get them to give their credit card so they can sign up the dollar, because it is a sign for us and we can actually see the number of people that paid it so we can determine which market we open next. So that is the plan. And it also creates less work on everyone, that, when you guys get the credit card at one-off, we don't have to go back to them at a later date and say, hey, we actually need your credit card now to sign you up and ship your tablet.
Yeah, in addition to that, keep in mind that as drivers, you don't get paid until that activation fee is paid. And so it's very much going to be, and we are going to look to you to help us get these merchants paid. If you guys are doing something special where the credit card they're signing up with isn't the credit card that's going to be for the $148.99, your job doesn't end at that $1. You definitely are going to want to see it through so that you can get paid on that activation.
Exactly.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start to share my screen and we'll go from there. I think that everyone will really enjoy tonight's training and hopefully learn a lot. So we are going to talk about the perfected walk-in. We have a special guest tonight who has really perfected the walk-in. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about tips and tricks, upcoming training, and questions, comments, concerns. So the perfected walk-in. So if you guys follow us on social media and you followed all of the tips from Amanda on Monday and you started following our Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, you would know that Rodney Bush in Nashville is on fire. I want to say he closed 4 restaurants on Tuesday alone, and he's not making phone calls, guys. He is walking in without an appointment and walking out with a signature. So Rodney, can you take yourself off mute and talk to us about how you have perfected this walk-in system? I might have to unmute you if you want me to unmute you. Let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. Where's my Zoom?
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Okay, perfect.
Woo! Really excited.
Rodney?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We can hear you now. So congrats to you. You're just killing it on a day-to-day basis. And I love to hear that you are walking in without an appointment and walking out with a signature. I worked personally for companies like DoorDash and Living Social, and I was the absolute queen of walk-ins. They are my absolute favorite thing in the world. I love walking in, talking to someone for 10, 15 minutes, and walking out with a signature. Nothing is better in life. So, Rodney, let's talk about how you've kind of perfected this in Nashville.
Okay, so I keep it really simple. Firstly, when I'm going into a residence of the restaurant, the first thing I want to do is say, hey, I'm here to see the owner. So I'm kind of pushing a little bit. Like, okay, why? Okay, we're opening a delivery service, and I take it from there. And the thing about that is, very rarely do I see an owner on the very first visit. So it's not like I'm walking into every restaurant and scoring a visit with the restaurateur. But the reason I'm able to score some is because of the numbers of restaurants I'm visiting in an afternoon. And I'm not spending 8 hours a day doing this right now due to other things I do in my life. But on Tuesday, I'll tell you this, on Tuesday, I was not alone. I do have one of the people that I've registered into the business with me. So I'm not taking full credit, but certainly what we do is when we walk in, we ask to see the owner of the restaurant. Uh, Gratefully, occasionally, we're able to get that person up to the front. And another thing is, it's not always necessary to share this with the owner. You can share it with the general manager or the person who's definitely in charge of that restaurant. So I'm going to pause just for a minute just to tell you that's my opening.
Perfect. So you walk in, the first thing you're going to say is, can I see your owner? Do the majority of the people ask you questions prior to going in the back and getting the owner? Or are they quick to just grab them?
I'm walking with a flyer, and I immediately have that flyer open. I have a folder, and in that folder, I have my business card, and I have the flyer. By the way, I've changed this flyer almost consistently, almost once a week since I've been doing this. But what I quickly point out is that we are different. That we don't have the service fees that other delivery companies have. And yeah, I'll go ahead and point out a few things like no contract, no menu markups, and to go over the basics very quickly in just a few seconds. And as soon as they see this, they're like, oh, okay. They know now that we're not serving them a warrant.
Right, exactly. You're not coming to, get anything. So that's hilarious. So tell me what kind of pushback you're getting and how long are you spending on average with the owner?
The only pushback we get is that we are a new company, and that is the number one thing that they resist is, okay, well, how long you guys been in business? And where are you at? So what I have done on that pushback of who are we, on that website, what I've done is I've listed the local restaurants that we have all registered here in Nashville. Actually, I don't have it called up, but I work on that on a regular basis. So I show about 10 or 12 or so that was the early ones. And I let them know that, hey, here's restaurants that you would recognize in our area that have already registered with the company. So the only pushback is, okay, that looks good. And then as we continue, I will go ahead and mention the other pushback in the whole scenario of the time we spend. Sometimes I only spend 10 or 12, 15 minutes with somebody, but when somebody is truly listening and interested, spend a little bit more time. But the only other pushback is the credit cards. Like, okay, we don't know you and you're asking for a credit card right now. And because of that, that's why most of us in our area have to have a second appointment, sometimes maybe a third appointment, because they want to kind of check us out a little bit. So that's the answer to pushbacks.
Perfect. So how do you find that you can talk to the general manager instead of the owner? So when you're asking for the owner, is the person responding with, my owner's not here, but the manager is? And so you're speaking to them to see if they have the authorization to make these type of decisions?
That's right. And you can tell pretty quickly in the conversation that you can tell if they're in charge or not, because they start asking the right questions. If I do this and if I do that and if we do this so it's just listening to them, and you can just feel that they have that authority. And that's only happened a few times. I'd say about half the time, maybe not quite half the time, but yeah, they'll let you know that, hey, I'm the one in charge of that.
Perfect. So if you're not able to catch the manager or the owner right away, what kind of follow-up are you doing?
So I leave them the folder.
Mhm.
The folder is very specific with the information I've shared, and it has my phone number, my name, my email. And the other thing is, as often as possible, and it doesn't happen as often as I'd like to, but I like to collect an email if I can. But typically, they don't give out emails or phone numbers of their owners. So what we have to do, the key in sales in the world is follow up, follow up, follow up, right? So we
Mhm.
got to go back. I'm not the type of person who likes to call back. I like to go back on that next visit in person. So that's what I'm doing.
Perfect. So that's wonderful. I'll stop right there for a second. Evelyn, do we have any questions?
Yeah, so this just came up from Miles. If Rodney can just come to the little mic a little bit closer. It's just breaking up a little bit towards the end. He's just pinged that. But I have a question for Rodney.
Perfect.
Hey, so Rodney, how do you target the restaurants to sign up? Is there like a list that you go by, or how do you target them?
Well, we live in and I did bring the mic closer and hopefully that's better.
Yes.
I just start on one side of the road, and I've prepared in every way a possible scenario could be set up. I've routed it out and listed all the restaurants. And the reality is, when I get out there, I start on the right side of the street and I go into a shopping center like today. I went into one shopping center, and there were probably at least 6 or 7 restaurants stopping one time. And that's not always going to be true, but if you can go into a shopping center that has a couple parked midway, and just get out and take care of those. So as soon as I take care of that area, whether it be 1 or 3 or 4, whatever, then I get back on the road and I take care of every restaurant I can find on the right side of the road. Again, I'm in a busy area, so that's easy for me. I don't know what it would be like to be in a unpopulated area, but so the amazing thing is, even with Nashville, we have 20,000 restaurants. It's never ending, and you can't go more than a short distance in a couple hours. If you're on the right side of the road, you can hit 15, 20 restaurants pretty easy.
Definitely. Is there a particular time that you've found has been better?
Well, absolutely. And, times are different with all owners, and you think that there's going to be like a set time, but some owners are never there. It's like, oh, the owner comes here on Tuesdays. It's like, oh, wow. So now I've got to match up my schedule to the next Tuesday. And some come in the morning, some come in the evening, some are there all day. So you really don't know. There's not a perfect way to set that. However, we all know that when the restaurant is serving and very, very busy, that's probably not a good time to be there. So I'm not a morning person, but if you're a morning person and you can catch owners as they're opening up, they may or may not. I know that Scott has done that. He's been very successful with some morning appointments, usually around 10, 11 o'clock a.m. But then the obvious is when lunch is over, around 1:30ish, 2 o'clock. That's the key hours to go out and hit restaurants between 2 and maybe 4:30ish. And then again, I'm not shy. I don't care if I walk in and there's 1,000 people in there. If I want to go find the owner, I'm saying, look, I've got something important for the owner here. I'll still go.
Perfect. But you found that the most successful you've had is between 2 and 4:30.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Great. We do have a question from Mr. Thomas. What are you giving out for them to check us out?
So I have a flyer, and again, it has all of the key points of what we have in our back office. No menu markups, no commissions, no contract. That we will do either we will provide a tablet or POS integration, and we won't hold your money. You're going to get paid routinely, not every week, or in some cases, some companies pay every month. So my flyer, I have a couple flyers, but nothing more than that. A flyer or 2 and a business card, and that's it. Oh, and to check us out, again, I developed my own little website. And on that website, I have all the key points of who we are, how we operate. And you know what I find out? They're really not using that except for one thing that I've used it for regularly. And again, that's just showing them pictures of all the restaurants that have, not all, but some of the restaurants that have signed up in our area. And that's amazing how powerful that is. They go, oh yeah, I know that restaurant. For instance, we know we have a A Zaxby's has either been signed up or about to be. We have a Chick-fil-A, and I like to point out the name brand restaurants. So we show them that, and then if they live here, they know they've been here for years. Like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Then the second one I signed up, when he asked that question about who else has been signed, I opened up my phone. I'm now using a tablet, which is bigger. I like that. But I had my phone and I went fast to where the restaurants are listed and show them. You know, if you're new and you don't have all this that I have, because we have several signed up, or a couple dozen here or more, then just go to Facebook. And when you're on Facebook, go to the media. Well, first of all, go to Trip Rides on Facebook, and you go over to media, and every restaurant that they have listed as an open registered restaurant is listed there. And there you go. You don't need a website. You just need to use what we have, right?
Perfect. That's a great idea. So really your top tips are be direct, walk in, ask exactly for who you're asking for, which is the owner, and then go to the manager if necessary. Be very concise and very simple, and give them as much information as needed, but not to overwhelm.
That is so true. And that's what's really nice about this, because when you compare this to other companies, and I do have that comparison chart that's on the Facebook site, and when we show that, it's like all these other companies charge commissions at an average of 30%. We don't do that. We don't mark up your menu. In fact, you will be in charge of your menu. And it's just fact, 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 fact. But it's not like 20 facts. It's only 5, 6, 7 key points, and their eyebrows are up.
Yeah, I mean, the commission savings alone should sell absolutely everyone.
That's right.
Perfect. Well, Rodney, that's amazing. Evelyn, one last check for questions for Rodney.
We have a quiet group tonight. I think they're just really trying to learn about how to really approach restaurants. You guys have any last minute questions, please type them in.
Perfect. And we'll continue on. Rodney, thank you so much for joining us. You can stick around and put it on mute, and if we get any additional questions, we'll definitely let you know.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So we want to let you know that the alternative Social Security numbers for drivers are now live. So you don't just have to have a Social Security. You can use tax ID and a few other numbers now. So that's great. Also, we are in need of more drivers and restaurants in Nashville. So pull out all the stops and find drivers and network of drivers there and in the surrounding areas and get them signed up. Remember, the soft launch for Nashville is November 9th. So we want to just make sure that we have a great selection for our consumers, in addition to enough drivers to be able to handle whatever traffic may come. So also wanted to let you know that Spanish trainings have been placed on hold for a few weeks. So if you're in need of Spanish training, in the meantime, we have kind of a workaround, which is to watch the YouTube videos and enable Spanish translation. Obviously, you're going to have to read it instead of hear it. And we're really sorry about this. But that is the workaround for right now until we can get the Spanish trainings back on the schedule. Excuse me. So we will still have our regular trainings Mondays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central right here and on YouTube. We have Coffee with Bob on Saturdays. We have the brand new Social Hotspot with Amanda on Sundays at 10 a.m. Central. That is starting this Sunday, so you want to make sure you don't miss out on that first one. And then keep in mind the first Thursday of the month will be our restaurant pitch. So invite all your potential prospects. The next one coming up is November 5th, which is a week from today. And then we will have the next one December 3rd. So make sure as you're doing those walk-ins, as you're reaching out, you can always invite them to this particular training on the restaurant pitch November 5th, also happening at 7 p.m. Central. So with that, Evelyn, do we have any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, we don't. I was going to say we should have Coffee with Bob on Saturdays and mimosas with Amanda on Sundays.
We should. For real, we should change the name.
Perfect. Well, Scott Jones says, congratulations, Rodney. Mr. Thomas says, thanks so much, Rodney, for your insight and giving us feedback. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Everyone have a great day and a great weekend, and we'll see you here on Monday.